All right, Trevon. So now we have the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let me hear what your in-season grade for them for last season, and your off-season grade for this past off-season is for them.
Um, Going off of their in-season grade last year, I would like to give them a B plus. Only reason being is because the way that the season ended, I really thought they could have at least been that eight seed. Losing to the Brooklyn Nets was it wasn't that uh, much of a surprise for me. Even though I think they could have won that game, but I really thought they had a good chance to beat the Atlanta Hawks when they did face them in that win or go home situation. But I felt like the season that they had with the young talent that they had, especially with Colin Sexton having his um, Colin Sexton not being able to actually play and be on the court, finding how great Darius Garland can be for that franchise. Also, Jared Allen, those two were all stars. I feel like they really found a formula that worked for them. Granted, they did lose Laurie Markkinen, who was part of that very tall lineup they had. But I really feel like they kind of found something to bring life back to Cleveland. And obviously what happened with the trade this offseason. But regardless if that didn't even go down, I feel like Cleveland Cavaliers still would have been in a good situation because they have a good coach, young talent. They're all developing still, and I really feel like they found their two guys that they can really rely on going forward in the future. So B plus for the end season and off season. Obviously, we know about the Donovan Mitchell trade. I'm gonna give them an A on that one. I feel like they did give a pretty good chunk of components that they had reliable sources as far as like trades and stuff like that. I feel like the Jazz are an underrated team as far as how their offseason went because they collected a
I mean
lot
the
of
Cavs. Oh, the Jazz.
yeah,
Okay,
you
yeah,
know how
yeah,
they
yeah.
traded
I
with
see
the
what you're
Jazz.
saying. Yeah.
I feel like the Jazz are an underrated team as far as their off season because they collected a lot. But on the Cleveland Cavaliers side, I'm giving them an A because Donovan Mitchell is a star in this league. You can talk about if you want to call him a superstar or whatever, but I would consider him a star who's a guy that you
Same
can
here.
just give the ball to and really rely on offensively. Um, his acquisition is going to make their front court pretty small, but when you have um, Jared Allen and I forgot to mention Evan Mobley, he's another guy that they got through the draft who's young, long, athletic. People have compared him to Anthony Davis, especially with his rim protection ability. He has an offensive ceiling that you can really, I believe, he can tap to into these upcoming years. And when you have all that, you still have Kevin Love, who's a very good veteran, can stretch the floor. And I feel like when you have all of that, and you add Donovan Mitchell to that, you got a really good offensively built team. And like I mentioned, the size, but you have rim protection on the back with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, and you can figure out how you want to fit into that three spot, maybe Isaac Okoro and stuff like that. So I feel like they got a good formula. And acquiring Donovan Mitchell was a big leap forward in the right direction. And I'm really expecting this team to be in the playoffs. And also, just a hypothetical, with the whole LeBron thing about wanting to play with his kids, I feel like this makes Cleveland extremely attractive. And, in a fantasy world, maybe Cleveland Cavaliers fans may think of LeBron maybe coming back. I don't know about being the star at that point because that'd probably be like 2 or however many years down the road. But just having LeBron on your team alone is going to, do a lot for that organization. So, I give them an A for this off season, and I they're gonna be top five in the playoff picture, I believe.
Yeah, no, honestly, I agree with a lot of what you said. I give them a B plus for last season as well. They really went about developing the young guys on their team very well, actually, with Darius Garland and Jared Allen making the All-Star team. I don't think a lot of people saw Darius Garland making it as big of a jump as he did this past season. And I don't think that many people saw the Cleveland Cavaliers having the type of season that they did last year as well. And we also did a video on how well they were doing, especially at the beginning of the season. At that point, I think we thought that they were going to definitely make the playoffs, but it didn't actually happen that way. They kind of tapered off a little bit towards the end. I believe it was some injuries. I know Jared Allen was injured, especially towards the end of the season last year. But I think that they did very well last year. They just didn't make the playoffs. They kind of fell off. But overall, I give them a B plus for last season. This past off season, I give them an A. I mean, like you just mentioned, the Donovan Mitchell trade, I think is big. I think he's a star in this league as well, and he's somebody that you can depend on offensively to give you the points that you need. And then also pairing him with Darius Garland in the backcourt, like you said, they are small, but I think that they can be dynamic on the offensive end. And when you have people like Jared Allen or Evan Mobley behind you protecting the rim, that helps out with having a smaller backcourt. Smaller backcourt. Um, they did lose Colin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen. Colin Sexton was hurt this past year, and I don't think it would have worked out with him and Darius Garland in the backcourt like it could work out with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. I feel like Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland can complement each other a lot better. Lauri Markkanen was definitely a young, talented player that had a lot of promise for the Cleveland Cavaliers, so losing him may hurt a little bit, but I think overall having or acquiring Donovan Mitchell, that helps out a lot. And they made some moves to try and strengthen up the bench as well. I think no, they did get Robin Lopez to back up Jared Allen and add some size. And then also they got signed back Ricky Rubio as well. So
yeah,
I think that they will have a good shot at being, like you said, top five, probably six. I would say somewhere around there, 5 or 6 in the East this year.
yeah, definitely. Because also to mention, you mentioned the bench. Karis LeVert is another guy that is mention worthy. Like you said, Ricky Rubio. So I feel like they have a good mixture of youth, talent, experience with the veterans. And I feel like their coach is a really good coach who can really piece all of this together. Um, and I know we're both saying top 6, and it might kind of, a lot of people are saying, oh, a lot of our comments be like, oh, y'all sleeping on this team, y'all sleeping on that team. And I can definitely understand. Just because I say 6 doesn't mean I'll necessarily, or top 5 doesn't necessarily mean I think they'll be 5. I can very well see them being like 1 through 3, or probably like
If they have a good
3 through
season,
5.
if things go
Yeah,
really well for them.
yeah.
I
But
mean,
if you
yeah,
look at the East, teams are getting stronger. Like I've been seeing, there's been a lot of training camp content, and just really seeing teams like the Nets, seeing Ben Simmons actually play with KD and Kyrie, and if that goes right, I know that's a big if. James Harden having a full summer with the Sixers. Um, you just got a lot of potential threats. I know the Celtics had their situation with Udoka, but they're still coming back harder. They got experience with Tatum and Brown. They brought in Brogdon, Marcus Smart, all those guys. So it's up for grabs in the East, but it's definitely not going to be a cakewalk for no team for real. Then the Cavs going to be in that mix for sure, though.
yeah, no. I mean, if you just look at it though, like Milwaukee, I think they're going to end up being the best team in the East. You have Brooklyn coming back. If they play, I think that they're going to be top 2. You have Miami, that's already 3. Boston, I think, is still going to be fine, even though you said with their situation going on. So that's 4. Chicago, I think, can be 5 as well, somewhere like that. I mean, you still have Atlanta, the Sixers. I didn't even mention them. So yeah, 5 or 6 range. I think that's good for the Cavs.
That
Because
doesn't mean they can't make a deep
yeah,
run
that
in
doesn't
the
mean
playoffs.
that doesn't mean they're not bad. That doesn't mean they're not good. It just means that, you know, I can see other teams being better than them,
And
and in their conference.
and with their
Uh,
youth, it can definitely help them get like top, because the Grizzlies were what, 3?
yeah,
Was
no, they were 2.
They were 2, and
Yeah.
a large part of that was probably due to youth. A lot of teams like that are older or, like um are more years into the league, they may not take the regular season as serious. So that positioning could help them out in the play. It's a lot of things that can happen.
Mhm.